President Bush asked me to be his Secretary of State. And on my first day going down to the State Department, sitting at the kitchen table again with Alma, she looks at me and she said, now listen, you're not in the Army anymore. So remember, when you go down here today, you're dealing with Foreign Service officers, ambassadors, diplomats, and civilians. Don't go down there and act like you're taking over some infantry battalion. Behave yourself. Yes, dear. Go down to the State Department, walk in the lobby, about 800 employees are waiting for me. I go to the lectern, I look over the crowd, and I can only think of one thing to say. Good morning, troops, how are you? Because they were my infantry battalion, because I don't know any other way. I've been in public life now for 52 years, roughly. And I have had the privilege of leading and commanding little units of 40 people and big units of several million. I've been in the public world, military world, diplomatic world, profit world, non-profit world. And the techniques of leadership and management that I have used for all of these assignments are the same. The basic techniques I learned as a young 21-year-old lieutenant at the infantry school in Fort Benning, Georgia. And when you enter Fort Benning, Georgia to begin your training, you see the motto of the school that says, follow me. Me is me, but follow is the verb. Follow is what they drive into you. And what do you get from following? You get followers. And what they told us, if you wanted to be a good leader, your mission, your task, is to put your followers in the best environment to achieve. Leaders don't get it done. PowerPoint presentations don't get it done. Plans don't get it done. It's the followers that ultimately get it done. And you as a leader must address all of your energy, all of your passion, all of your intensity into putting a sense of purpose into the followers under your command, under your responsibility. Missions, goals, all of those things are necessary, but the word I prefer is purpose. Everybody has to have a purpose in life. An organization has to have a purpose. And it is not just to return shareholder value or to make the best product. You have to have a larger purpose to provide a service to the community or the organization you're part of. As Secretary of State, I had a beautiful suite of offices, absolutely gorgeous. They were designed to reflect an 18th century mansion. And every night somebody came to clean my office. I never thought of that person as just being a janitor. That person had a purpose. And that person's purpose was to make sure tomorrow morning when people came from all over the world to see my office and to visit the Secretary of State and the Department of State, that suite shined. It looked great. It was the best representation of our country. That was the purpose of that individual. I would never consider that individual just a janitor. In your work, in your office, do you touch everybody who works with you or for you in the same way so that you're pulled together with a common purpose? If you're going to be a leader, you have to have a passion about that purpose. You've got to have an intensity. You've got to have an enthusiasm. You've got to make your sense of purpose infectious so that everybody else catches it and everybody understands what they are supposed to do, what their purpose is to roll up into the greater organization. And I've always tried to do that in every organization I've been a part of. Second thing they taught us at the infantry school was take care of the troops. Obviously, they're the ones who get it done. Take care of them. Give them the training, the skills, everything they need to get your purpose achieved. If you don't do that, they won't believe in you. In the State Department, when I got there in 2001, we're an information organization. We don't make anything, it's information. And what do you need for information these days? You need an information system. But I went there in 2001 and found that we still had Wang computers in the State Department. Did you guys ever hear of Michael Dell? What's wrong with you? And so I went out and I bought 45,241 computers and put them on every desk in every office in the State Department, and I connected my organization so that they were reflecting the information needs of the modern world. Anybody who isn't on top of this is not going to be successful in this 21st century world. The world is globalized. The world is flattening. The world is connected by information systems that move knowledge, speed, risk, and opportunity around the world at the speed of light. And I had to make sure that your State Department was operating at that speed of light, and they are doing so. Yeah. And so you've got to give the troops the equipment and the tools and the training they need to get the job done, or they won't believe in you. The next thing they taught us was recognize people for their achievements. You promote them, you give them bonuses, you do all kinds of things. The most effective thing I found, in addition to those things, was just putting your arm around somebody and saying, man, you did a great job. I'm so proud of you. By the way, I just called your wife, I just called your husband to tell them we're proud that your family is a part of my family. You gotta touch a human in the heart and not just a pocketbook. It's so important. I write lots of notes to people, little 2-sentence notes on a note card. It takes me 10 seconds to write that 2-sentence note and send it out to somebody who I thought was doing something well. And the next time I'm back down in that area, in that office, I will see that note framed in a $100 frame. And the guy has made 1,000 copies and sent to every relative he's ever had. What did it cost me? It cost me 10 seconds and a little ink. But the value I get from that was 1,000-fold more than that. So you've got to reach out to such people. You've got to make sure they understand that you appreciate them and you value the contribution they make to achieving the purpose. The other side of this coin is that you've got to be tough enough as a leader to punish people when necessary. When you have people who are not good followers, who are not coming along, who are not doing the job, who are the first ones to know who the poor followers are in an organization? The good followers. And the good followers are waiting for the leaders to do something. And if the leaders don't do something, the good followers start to slack off. And so if you want to be a good leader, you've got to identify problems within your organization, constantly supervising, walking around, seeing what's going on, and knowing what's happening in your organization. And when there is a problem of this magnitude with bad followers, don't look the other way, don't reorganize, don't put more workload on the good followers. Do what you have to do. Retrain the person, move the person, or fire them. The worst tasks in my life, of course, was to pull somebody in and say, you're not making it, you've got to go, you're hurting my purpose, you're hurting my organization, so you've got to leave, you're fired. It's tough, but once you've done it, a black cloud tends to lift off the organization, because all the good followers are saying, what took them so long? Couldn't we see this? So if you want to be a leader, you've got to be not only with the good stuff, but you've got to be able to handle the tough disciplinary problems. All I know about leadership was summarized in one statement that a sergeant gave to me at Fort Benning. He said, you'll know you're a leader, a good leader, when your troops will follow you, Lieutenant, if only out of curiosity. You've done all the right things, you have motivated them, you have inspired them. They believe in your purpose, they all have their purpose. But a day will come when they're hungry, tired, cold, and afraid. At that moment, when they're looking at you, wondering if you know what you're doing, you must have never seen as the leader, cold, tired, hungry, or afraid. You cannot have those emotions. And they will follow you if only out of curiosity, to see how you get them out of this mess. But what he was really saying is they will follow you because they trust you. So my friends, as you go through life, and as you work with an organization, as you lead organizations, understand that trust is the glue that holds any group of human beings together. And work hard to develop trust between leaders and followers, among leaders and among followers. We all work for a common purpose. None of us are selfish. We are all selfless. We all work for a common purpose. And if you do that, you'll have a successful organization. I've tried that throughout my career. I worked hard in the first 4 years of President Bush's administration doing that as his Secretary of State. And it was a difficult time. And many of the difficulties we saw in the first 4 years, we saw again in the second 4 years, and now President Obama has that same set of problems. And when you go to bed tonight, as you watch television for the last minute, catch the news, you'll see some of these crises. A terrible bombing in Iraq, or trouble in Afghanistan, or in North Korea, or Iran, or in the Middle East. And as you finally click off and roll over, you'd say to yourself, nothing's going right. What a terrible time this is. And I would submit to you, put it in context, because a lot has gone right. When I started out in public life all those years ago, America was facing two empires that said they were superior to us. The Soviet Empire behind the Iron Curtain, and the Chinese Empire behind the Bamboo Curtain. And our strategy was contain them. They're not right, they're wrong. But until they understand and discover that, we have to build up our forces and contain them behind these iron and bamboo curtains.